How's everybody doing? It's your favorite historian, and I'm here to kind of do a little eh, a review on the upcoming series called Manhunt, which is being put out by Apple TV. It is about the hunt for John Wilkes Booth in the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. I think it comes out in April of this year, if I'm not mistaken. It's about the assassination and trailing of John Wilkes Booth, and also kind of like the stalking of Abraham Lincoln prior to his assassination. A story that's been told many, many, many times. I'm interested to see this because Apple's been putting out a lot of cool stuff lately. They've been putting out Masters of the Air. They have another series coming out about some other presidents that should be released fairly soon. So I'm interested to see what Apple TV has in store. Their history stuff is really starting to come on par. This is my first time watching this trailer, so I'm interested to see what's going on. So without further ado, let's get it going.
I was born with the chance to be somebody. I'm gonna be the most famous man in the whole world.
Mr. President, the Confederacy is dead. The Union is saved.
At this point of the Civil War, about the later part of 1864, beginning of 1865, the Civil War was all but won. I mean, there was a number of big battles, a lot of lives to be lost by then, multiple fronts still going on, but for all intents and purposes, the Civil War was coming to an end. It was just, Lee was running out of supply and troops. Joe Johnston out west was running out of supplies and troops. There were various other armies in the field in the Trans-Mississippi West. The manpower, the accoutrements, the artillery, the weaponry just wasn't nowhere to be found. And it was coming slowly to a conclusion.
The war is over.
John Wilkes Booth and his family were really well known. I want you to kind of to think about this. It would be almost like today if, say, an actor like Leonardo DiCaprio committed this atrocity. Somebody that well known. That's how it was in 1860s with the Booth family. Ironically, that even though Booth had killed President Lincoln, Booth's brother actually saved Robert Todd Lincoln from being hit by a train in Washington, D.C. Robert Todd had been pushed over the balcony where they're waiting for the train at the train depot and was almost hit by a train, and somebody reached down and pulled him up, and it was Edwin Booth. It was Booth's brother. So the irony of this whole thing, it's pretty interesting.
Freedom for the South!
What happened?
The president's been shot. Witnesses are saying it was John Wilkes Booth.
So think about that. They're saying it's John Wilkes Booth. That's almost like Leonardo DiCaprio or Clint Eastwood or somebody shot the president. You also see that in a few seconds before where he said, where Booth yells from the stands, was a bunch of testimony from different witnesses. Some said he said the South is avenged. Some said he said Sic Semper Tyrannis, which was the Virginia state motto when he leaped over the balcony. All sorts of stuff has gone down in history. We'll never quite know for sure, but we tend to think it was Sic Semper Tyrannis. After all, he was a Shakespearean actor, and that is Latin, so I could see Booth doing that.
Wait, the actor?
Do you know who I am?
I'm a symbol.
How does a well-known actor commit murder in front of an audience of 1,500 people and escape?
Some very interesting things about the actual assassination. That night, Lincoln wasn't the only person that was attacked. Secretary of State Seward was also attempted murder on him. He was almost knifed to death. Fortunately for him, he had been sick, and his nightgown was very bulky. He had a brace around his body, so the knife didn't pierce him. Vice President Andrew Johnson was also a target. He was not attacked, and Ulysses S. Grant was actually supposed to be at the theater that night, but he had called out from the president his invite and said, you know, hey, look, I have to go take care of my kids. And Grant lived with this forever. Like, he lived with this stigma of not being there because he thinks that he could have actually saved the president of the United States. Instead, a man by the name of Henry Rathbone went to the play with Mr. and Mrs. Lincoln. And Rathbone, that's a different story. That guy went crazy. He had all sorts of issues later on in his life. And you'll see that a lot with the whole Lincoln story. There's some people that really went on some deep tangents.
The man that killed my husband.
Gentlemen, I am tasking you with the capture of John Wilkes Booth.
So I'm not sure if I can pull this back here a second. This gentleman right here, we'll see if we can pull him up. Well, there was a picture of a Union cavalryman that was in that. And I tend to think that might be Boston Corbett, who was the guy who actually shot Booth when they cornered him in the tobacco barn in Virginia when they were chasing him. And that soldier also had a lot of mental issues and wound up getting in a lot of trouble himself later on after the war. So again, another person had some issues that came out of this conspiracy.
All of this can be broken. Hold your devil by his throat and spin him to the ground.
This is a conspiracy to dismember our government.
I know who you are, Mr. Booth.
You gonna help us or not?
There's a bounty on the head of Booth. I intend to collect.
Booth ran down south through Virginia thinking that the former Confederacy, was going to aid him. A lot of these former rebels, now Americans, actually didn't want to have much to do with him, although there was a doctor named Mudd that helped set his leg and was sent to prison in Florida, and that's where the saying is, your name is Mudd, comes from. So the escape of Booth and the conspirators is a very interesting story. The plot, the time that they took to invest into trying to basically, end Lincoln's life. There was multiple attempts by these guys, and they were very, very well planned. But at the end, a lot of it fell apart. The country had just was sick of war, and there was kind of I don't know, like a stigma back then about killing the leaders. You didn't do that. It's not like today.
Is being protected by the Confederacy.
Now with Lincoln out of the way, this country belongs to us.
I will not surrender. May God be my judge.
God bless America.
This looks really, really good. The uniforms and equipment look very well. The story of the Lincoln assassination has been told time and time again. I don't know what really more they can add to the story other than, it enlightens a new generation of people of actually what happened for the first presidential assassination in the history of the United States. A lot of players in this, Edward Stanton. You look at, Boston Corbett is there, Henry Rathbone, Major Rathbone, the U.S. troops, this big, huge manhunt that was going on around the country. I mean, this was public enemy number one. It's like I said, they were searching for a well-known actor, and a lot of his conspirators. Mary Surratt, who owned the boarding house, whose son was involved with the assassination, eventually gets hung. And there's a movie called The Conspirators that came out a number of years ago that was about that. It's just a very interesting story. This looks pretty good. I don't have Apple TV, although I have been over people's house that have it and watched some of the stuff on it. So I'm interested. I'm interested to see. It doesn't look like it's, you know, too politically twisted. It looks like it might be close to the actual story. So we'll check it out. If you like what you heard, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you are going to watch Manhunt or are interested in seeing Manhunt, like below, and we will see you next time.